I'm joined by Hoboken resident Marla Decker. She is a candidate for Second Ward Council in the city of Hoboken. Ms. Decker, thank you for taking the time to be with me on Hudson TV. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you reached out, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Now, I should let our viewers know that professionally you are an attorney.
hmm
What type of law work do you do?
Well, I have been an attorney since 2007, and for the first decade of my career, I practiced as a commercial litigator. I worked for a large international firm doing litigation and representing large financial institutions. And then I switched to a field called litigation finance, which is a type of investment strategy where we are a fund manager for a fund that invests in assets that's value turns on the outcome of litigation. So my job now is to analyze legal risk and predict outcomes and price risk accordingly, and hopefully make smart investments.
Okay, so the big question here at the start of our conversation is, why have you decided to seek a Second Ward Council seat in Hoboken? Why are you running?
Well, first and foremost, it's because I love Hoboken. And I think we have tremendous potential to do great things as a community. I've been living here for 20 years. I've been living in the Second Ward for nearly 15. I'm raising my kids here. I probably came to Hoboken like a lot of people with, unsure how long my stop would be and whether we'd eventually move to the suburbs. We haven't. And so my roots are here. My kids are being raised here. My neighbors are here. My friends are here. I see around me so much of everything that goes on in the world, right? We have problems. We have smart people who have solutions. We have poverty. We have generosity. We have diversity. We have, all those things that make us this perfect place to have smart policy, have smart government, and export some of that as examples to other parts of the country. And I'm running because I think I'll do a good job at it, frankly. It's just, I think it uses a lot of the skills that I've developed over the course of my career. And I'm looking forward to bringing, a new perspective, new energy, and those skills to the position.
Okay, so as you have walked the streets of your ward, spoken to your neighbors and people in the ward that you don't know, what are you hearing from them? What do they consider to be the most important, the most pressing issues in the Second Ward? And frankly, what do you see as the most important things that need to be addressed?
I would say, and you're right, I have spoken now to hundreds of people and I've really enjoyed it. I've largely found that we have a really engaged citizenry. Hopefully you can edit that so that sounds better. But we really do have an engaged community. People who care about Hoboken and care about their quality of life and their neighbors around them. I would say that quality of life issues are probably the biggest things that people mention to me, and it depends on the neighborhood what that particular issue is. In some neighborhoods it's rats, in some neighborhoods it's noise on a rowdy weekend, in some neighborhoods it's something else. And I think traffic safety is a big one, pedestrian safety, that probably pervades all of the little sub neighborhoods. So I'd say one of my priority in a sweeping sense is to focus on a lot of the quality of life issues that are impacting people on their day-to-day lives. And that takes the form of the smaller stuff, like, getting the crosswalk to work properly on the corner of 14th and Garden, to the bigger stuff, which is, rethinking our bike lanes and our pedestrian safety and getting some traffic studies done that can improve the safety of uptown neighborhoods.
Okay, the first thing that you mentioned in your answer, you said rats. Unfortunately, that's been something that has been in the news for the past couple of months. Not just in Hoboken. Unfortunately, we heard last week rats at the Newport Center Mall at the movie theater and the whole part of their mall. So it's not something that's limited to Hoboken. Obviously, Hoboken's an urban city. just like New York City. But this is something that, frankly, it's disgusting. You want to solve it somehow. Should you be elected, what type of an approach do you think needs to be taken? Has the council at this point, are they moving in the right direction to try to address that issue, to try to solve that issue?
I mean, the first part of your question is what approach needs to be taken, and the answer is a proactive one. I think that, the city council right now is taking measures, and certainly those should yield some progress, and I'm supportive of that. But I think that they failed to be a little bit more proactive about this. I think we could have seen some of this coming in the uptown wards, because of the development that was going on in Weehawken, coupled with, the city has property in the soon to be rebuilt by design site that for a while was being used by the city for the Washington Street redevelopment, and then they left it, and it's sort of been neglected, for lack of a better word. And I think that helped to, create a space where the rats have moved in, and once they moved in there, they moved into more residential areas where the garbage is a problem.
Is there too much development going on in your mind in Hoboken? And if there isn't too much going on, if you believe that, is what's going on being done in a proper way?
Well, I think we're going to have development. I mean, to answer your question, the second ward has had a ton of development, but over the last 10, 15 years along the waterfront, I don't think that what has happened there is too much. I think it was sort of all planned for when it began. I think we have to be careful about how we develop out the Northwest corridor, because right now that is space that's pretty empty, and is the subject of interest for developers. And I think we have to be smart about that, careful about that. And both from, I think the past, to get back to your rodent question, I think in the past we've planned for these buildings with just a parking and transportation perspective on the car model. I think that's the way my community was built, right? Anticipating everybody would have cars, there's a common garage, all that sort of stuff was planned for. I think going forward with development, we have to think not just about cars, but other ways that people are getting around, bikes, scooters. We have to think about garbage management in a way that we haven't before. How are these buildings set up to hold garbage? Do they have composting streams that are enabled in their community, which can help us with managing the organic waste portion of the garbage? In what ways are they green that we weren't thinking about before? So I think that's just too sweeping of a term, too much or too little. I think it has to be smart, and it has to be modern, and it has to be thoughtful, taking into account the lessons we're learning as Hoboken continues to evolve, which it always has. Right? It's a new problem and an old problem all at the same time.
Is flooding a major issue in your ward?
Flooding is not, I don't want to say it's not a major issue, because it is a major issue in as much as our neighbors are, our neighbors are our neighbors. And I don't want to say I don't care about flooding because it doesn't happen in the second ward. Topographically, we are at the higher end of Hoboken. And so when we get these big rainstorms, with some exception, there are some low-lying intersections that I'd like to address. For example, 15th and Park gets flooded a bit, but we don't see the same as what other parts of the community see on a heavy rain basis, especially right along the waterfront, because the water does run down into the river. We did see a huge amount of flooding when Sandy hit in this neighborhood because of the storm surge and that came up through the river. And obviously the rebuild by design project is a critical way that's being addressed, because when that water came in, it came over the crest of the edge of Hoboken and went down into what they call the bathtub in the back. And that the rebuild by design project is something I support for this neighborhood. Both because I believe it will protect Hoboken and because it's going to offer, new usable public space.
Is there a website that you want to throw out there for people that might want to read up a little bit more about your campaign and the issues that you're concerned with?
Sure. It's Marla Decker for Hoboken.org.
Is that for the word or for the number?
For the word.
Okay.
You can also shortcut it by just typing in marla.vote and it'll take you there. And I'm on social media on Facebook and Instagram as Marla Decker for Hoboken. The word.
Well, Ms. Decker, I want to thank you for taking the time to speak with me on Hudson TV. Good luck pounding the pavement over the next several weeks leading up to the election in early November. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.